special edition of the Pundit today, being set today, the 21st of October, 21st of July 2021. With me in the studio is Mr. Olakunle Sonyaolu, and as well, we're having Mr. Oluku Bienusi Matthew. Welcome, Mr. Sonyaolu.
Welcome, welcome to everybody, including the viewers.
Mr. Matthew, welcome to the Pundit.
Thank you for having me. It's a
Although
pleasure.
today is a special day, considering the event that has also characterized Lagos State political system, the
And
election
Ogun
from,
State.
and Ogun State as well, the election of the local government chairman. Looking at the headlines in the last couple of days, we'll be doing justice to a few which we've decided to deliberate about, starting with the statement credited to um, Ogun State governor from the person of Dapo Abiodun. Then moving away from that, we'll also be looking at some of the issues that have also characterized the political as well as economic and socio-economic landscape of the country. In looking at some of these issues, here are the major headlines we want to deliberate on. We'll be looking at the implication of Sunday Igboho's arrest in Cotonou in relation to Nigeria and the international community. I wouldn't know how the international community would view Nigeria. And moving away from that, we'll be looking at the viral video. There was a video online trendy where the Nigerian government, there was a young man that was protesting against the government action, as well as the Super Falcons who were on a transit to represent the country. Away from that, we're looking at the statement credited to the North about 2023 presidency, and the North are saying they deserve an additional 4 years. Away from that, we're looking at how bandits shot down the Air Force jet. And I wouldn't know if there's statement from the government till now in relation to that, if those bandits have been caught, if their intelligence report in evaluation of how the intelligence report have also been so swift in going against some secessionist agitators. Moving away from that, we're looking at the reasons behind the legislature rejection of the transmission of the result electronically of
That's transmitted
electronic result electronically. So away from that, we'll also be looking at how Ghanaian youth rejected the goodies, bag of rice, and told them they need jobs and unemployment in relation to what happened in this part of the world. Then there was a counter allegation and allegation that Sunday Igboho did not doctor his international passport. I think there was a post online where the wife categorically said there was nothing of such. Yes. Away from that, we'll be looking at a report from a report in the last couple of days, which also indicted the reason why Boko Haram has dominated the northeastern region. Away from that, Kanu Malami, Malami acting like on land fellow. This statement was credited to former NIIA boss in person of Dr. Akinteriwa. Away from that, we'll be looking at the statement. There was a serving senator who knelt down to
Senator James
Manager to the
former
governor
Delta South Senatorial District in Delta State.
Who knelt down while talking to the former governor of Delta State in person of
That
James
is what it takes to be lawyer in Nigerian politics.
So we'll be looking at some of this issue in comparison to what has actually transpired. It seems there's more of topical discussions that have character. We're not even having headway to a particular conversation before another news pops up. And in looking at this in totality, it's really not good news. So, Mr. Machi, let's start with the implication when we're talking about the Benin Republic action and in relation to Nigeria's action in the same case, how the case was heard in court. If it was in Nigeria, we'll know how long it probably would take. The wife has been released, her German passport has been returned to her. So in relation of this, in comparison internationally, how would they view Benin Republic? How would they view Nigeria? Looking at the circumstances and our action as in fact, some people have it that an helicopter was even flew down to Benin to airlift on what basis? So those are some of the things we need to look at as a people. So in consideration of the action of the Benin Republic government, is it not a sane argument that if Nigeria is broken down into smaller pieces, as small as Benin Noir, maybe it would have been governed better? Well, it's an argument. It's a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
But look, in relation to that, the Western region has been proven to have been more functional when it was the regional government than what we have. So is it better to bear the name of a big entity that really does not bring the dividends of democracy to people? So let's start with the conversation of Sunday Igboho and the Benin Republic.
Okay. I think looking at the Sunday Igboho issue, the alarm that was raised when he was accosted saved the situation, because ordinarily the alarm saved an illegal process. Now, if you look at Nigeria as a sovereign state, you look at Benin Republic as another sovereign state, you don't operate beyond your international frontier, your international boundary. So to that extent, Nigeria do not have the right to dictate when and how to move Sunday Igboho out of another sovereignty. Now, it's a good thing that the Benin Republic have said that due process must be followed, because in such circumstances there ought to be extradition hearing, which the government of Benin Republic have agreed that there must be a hearing. Now there is another angle to it. There's issue of forgery of immigration documents, which the court over there is trying to resolve first. But I don't want to dwell much on that, because we are looking at the legality of Nigerian government moving a Sunday Igboho from Benin Republic to Nigeria. Now, we quite understand that looking at the extradition treaty between Nigeria, Togo, Ghana, and Benin Republic of 1984, there are some conditions under which you are not allowed to extradite even your own citizen. I think some of them present themselves in this particular scenario. But if you look at, you cannot, the first thing you look at is the country where he's arrested, the allegation he's been alleged to have, what he's been alleged to have committed. Is it an offense in the jurisdiction of that country? In this case, he is known to be agitating for self-determination. And if you go and look at Article 20 of African Charter, African people, African human rights, and yes, Article 20 of African human rights and people's rights, it tells you that self-determination is like a fundamental human right. So on that basis, I don't think what he stood for is a crime in Benin Republic. They're looking at the antecedent of Nigerian government prior to his fleeing the country. There is an issue where his house was invaded by DSS. Because it stands, the DSS have come out openly to accept responsibility and even culpability of killing two of his aides. Though they claim there was a gun duel, but it's a function they are here to substantiate and convince Nigerians that there was actually a gun duel.
Okay, viewers at home, for those of you who want to join, you can please send in your comments and your views as well as your opinion. Let the comments keep coming and let your views. We also want to hear your own part of conversation. We want to hear your views and what you have to see. And very soon we'll be moving over to the Lagos State election. But Mr. Olakunle Sonyaolu, so what's your view looking at Nigeria and Committee of Other Nations, considering the action of the government as regard the case of Sunday Igboho?
Okay, you see, this case is just is more like a repetition of what happened with Nnamdi Kanu. I think the government of Nigeria, their action over international laws and how they see international law and their perspective to international laws should learn to change. You know, sometimes I think they feel that because you are perceived to be giant of Africa, you can encroach on other nations' rights. There's what we call local law and international laws. Your local laws govern within is respected within your sovereignty. If you have a target that you perceive as a criminal, such target is being found in another sovereign nation. What you should do is to approach it on the basis of international law. Now, I'm going to relate what happened with Nnamdi Kanu to that of Sunday Igboho. In Nnamdi Kanu case, the Nigerian government got involved clearly on government kidnapping. And under international law, it is what they call extraordinary rendition. That is the act of a government kidnapping its own citizen for certain reasons known to that government, which is a crime against international law. It's a crime against international law. So in that regard, I think international community are still very much interested to know exactly what transpired in the case of Nnamdi Kanu before we find ourselves in this mess again. Unfortunately, the image of Nigeria they are projecting is that of a country which has no regard for both local law and international law. And it is very unfortunate because it is going to affect how other nations see us, how they relate with us economically, politically, and in other areas of life. Now, let us look at what really transpired in Benin Republic. Sunday Igboho, of course, is a citizen of Nigeria, no doubt. He was apprehended with his wife under two circumstances. First, you should know that he was apprehended based on suspicious passport. And secondly, based on allegation from the Nigerian government that is a criminal wanted in Nigeria. We all know the drama that played suit and all that. That's not the basis of discussion. What we are discussing now is the legality of Nigeria government trying to kidnap him from Benin Republic and bring him back here to face certain allegations. It is against international law. Whatever that should be done, like Mr. Matthew has said, should be based on extradition law. This person is a citizen of Nigeria, is being found in Benin Republic. Let us look at the basis upon which he's been declared wanted. And that is why a court of law will sit on it, decide whether truly he has committed a crime in Nigeria that is worthy of being repatriated
back to Nigeria
to face his crime. Or, like he said, truly there was an international treaty between Nigeria and 3 other African countries, including that Benin Republic inclusive. So, looking at that, there was even a clause in that treaty that if this person is a political fugitive, such individual should not be what? Extradited. So, it is now meant for the courts in Benin Republic to sit and decide whether this person is a criminal or is a victim of the government. So if he's a victim of political persecution, the ideal thing for that government, for the court in Benin Republic to do is to make sure that he's not repatriated to Nigeria. But if the government can now prove beyond reasonable doubt that the reason why they invaded his house in the first place was that he had a room piled with weapons, stocked up with weapons, and it was based on that they had to invade his his house. Then the court will now say that okay, this Nigerian government have a point that we need to repatriate him back to Nigeria. As it stands now, Nigerian government have not been able to achieve that. So it's still left for the court to decide whether it will be repatriated or not.
Okay, before we move to the next headline, what does that portray for Nigeria internationally? A serious nation or unserious nation?
Okay.
Or a banana republic where anything goes?
There is a French school of thought that says that order and counter order amounts to disorder. Now, looking at that in relation to what has happened to Nigeria, and if you just suppose Nnamdi Kanu's situation with that of Sunday Igboho's situation, see that Nigeria is in for a bigger trouble, whether we like it or not. There's a pending diplomatic row between Nigeria and Britain. So it depends on how they handle the situation in
Nnamdi Kanu's case.
Sunday Igboho's case.
Okay.
Because the way it stands today, there's already a form that British High Commission in Nigeria here sent to Nnamdi Kanu through his lawyer to seek his consent for consular assistance, which DSS have refused to allow him append his signature. There was another issue where a British legal firm sent another form for diplomatic assistance to enable them to take over the case, but they needed his consent. But DSS, for reasons best known to them, refused to allow him sign it as well. And the intention of his legal team was to approach a British court to ask the court to assume either universal or territorial jurisdiction over the case. so that they can go back to the court to ask the court to issue a right of mandamus against Nigerian government to compel Nigerian government to produce Nnamdi Kanu in Britain to determine whether the process of his extradition was right or wrong. Don't forget that even British Parliament have deliberated over this Nnamdi Kanu case. Though they have kept mum, they have not made their position known to the public. So if you now see a government, a more superior government of the British government, sending a form to Nigerian government for somebody, for their own citizen in captivity, in custody, to fill a form for consular assistance, Nigerian government turning it down. So it's a recipe for diplomatic wrong.
Well,
and if you look at,
let me add to what you have said. The thing is, it's going to have a bilateral relationship crisis on Nigeria. And unfortunately, this government does not understand the fact that we need all these Western nations to thrive as a nation.
of course,
You understand? Nigeria is a country that depends largely on importation. And once we begin to have sanctions from here and there, it's going to affect us locally. So this government must wake up to the responsibility of making sure that starting international laws that Nigeria signed. If you are a member of United Nations, you get what I'm saying? There is the United Nations charter that deals with all issues of international law. And once you disrespect or disobey such laws, there are sanctions for it. Do you understand what I'm saying, sir? So the most important thing right now is, let us not beg the question. Nigerian government, as we speak, is embarrassing this nation internationally, and if care is not taken, it might come with consequence. And one of such consequences is in the area of sanction. Mind you, this issue can also have a trickling effect on insecurity, because we still need these Western powers to fight insecurity. But that's another area entirely. Because when they begin to sanction us, they can say, we are not selling weapons to you. And how do you fight insecurity in the country? So the bottom line is, we must realize that at this point that we find ourselves, this issue is of international importance to the existence of this country. You understand? Government will come and go. Buhari government will come and go. But our relationship with other nations will remain until this nation is what? Is not in existence again. So we must learn to, these are laws that we signed ourselves. It is shameful that the Nigerian government will even take a helicopter to Benin Republic in the first state to extradite a man that has not gone through the extradition process. It is shameful. It's an embarrassment to this country. And we call ourselves a democracy. It is no. Benin Republic is showing us it is a country of less than 20 million people, or about 22 million people. It's showing a country of over 20 million people how the law, over 200 million people, how the law should be. It is shameful. You understand? They were telling Nigerian government that we must make sure that we follow the rule of law. It's a shame on our existence as a nation, and we call ourselves the African giant of Nigeria. No, these are things we need to ask. We need to tell ourselves. Let us tell ourselves the truth so that we can move this nation forward.
Okay. In looking at the other headlines, because our time is fast spent, there was a viral video of a Nigerian protesting in a bus against the Super Falcons, and though the guy might have used some derogatory comment in passing of his message that they are representing a terrorist government, and is that not another kind of precipice that there are Nigerians cut across the world who are not happy with what is happening in this country? And has the government really have the government done anything so far to curtail such and bring the people together to create an harmonious nation? So from the viral video, so many people had, I was reading so many perspectives to that, but a majority feels the more civil you are in presenting some of these agitation or grievances, the government kill, the government attack, the government imprison, like the NSAS was used as a critical example. So the message was passed by the young man, irrespective of the modem or the terminologies he used, and many people accepted to that fact. So what do you make of that? If the country, the citizen of a particular country can attack another representative of the same country in another man's land, where are we heading to as a people? What do you make of this, Mr. Sonyol?
I think that sometimes we look at the message and we also look at the messenger. But in this case, let us leave the messenger. Let us look at the message. Of course, to the global community, Nigeria is not a terrorist nation. Nigeria is a country fighting terrorism. That's the perception out there. But when you come locally to Nigerians, both home and abroad, we understand that the insecurity situation in the country, it is highly unfavorable to some section. nepotism going on, unemployment at the large scale. So people definitely are not happy with the present government, no doubt. But I want to believe that as a people that we can overcome. The reason why I said this is this: collectively, we have the human resources to move this nation forward. But unfortunately, if we continue like this, I cannot guarantee the existence of Nigeria in the next 20 to 25 years. The signs are there. The signs are there.
The signs for what?
The signs for collapse of these nations are there. Hence, the need for agitations from almost every section of the country. The North is agitating for Arewa nation. The Southeast is agitating for Biafra nation, and here in the South, nation. We are agitating for the Yoruba nation. But it is all based on lack of fairness from this present government. This government is not fair. This government is not handling the affairs of these nations very well. Some of us believe in this country, but if care is not taken, what is happening here and now, both the agitations home and abroad, might come to reality, and Nigeria will actually pay for it. So what I would just say is, we are all hungry, but let us be guided with certain words that we use. Nigeria is not a terrorist country. I can say that anywhere. But we are fighting terrorism, and our leaders are not being sincere with this fight on terrorism.
So if the leaders, you just said Nigeria is not a terrorist country.
Yes.
Nigeria that is not a terrorist country is fighting terrorism.
Yes.
And at the same time, you accepted the fact that the leaders are not being sincere and fighting the same terrorism.
Yes.
Now, is there a disconnect when the leaders are not being sincere in the fighting of terrorism to differentiate that there are culpability or there is a direct or indirect nexus of connectivity between the leadership support for terrorism? Invariably, the citizens of the country are what? Terrorists.
Okay.
So, if we want to look at it in another perspective, is the young man wrong in his terminology based on what you just said?
Yes.
And following the International Statistics Index of Fulani Herdsmen has been ranked as the 4th terrorist organization in the world.
Yes.
The government itself indicted the indigenous people of Biafra as a terrorist organization. Okay. So it simply means internationally we've been ranked the 4th terrorist organization in the world. Okay. Then within the country, we've also told the international communities that we have another terrorist organization that we have openly named, making how many? 2 in 1 nation, cut across the divide between the South and the North.
Okay.
So looking at this and also the activities of uncommon kidnapping that have dominated the headlines in the last couple of years, Boko Haram is still on its own. Boko Haram has not been ranked. It wasn't the one that was ranked as 4th. It is Fulani S-men. So Boko Haram has been on the terrorism index before the S-men has been ranked. So is Nigeria not a terrorist nation?
It's not. I beg to disagree, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, the body language of the government, no doubt, supports terrorism, no doubt. Body language. I'm not saying the intention. I'm not there to, I don't know the mind of the president. He has the mind of his own. But the body language of the presidency, are you getting what I'm saying, sir? Speaks volume a whole lot. It's in support of all these acts, body language. And I said that in different, circumstances. Number one is the fact that this Fulani X-Men that you're talking about have not yet been termed a terrorist organization in Nigeria.
So
no.
Was it wrong for the guy to say he's a terrorist?
No. I'm saying in Nigeria, under the Nigerian law, Fulani X-men are not known as terrorists.
Okay. Do
you understand? Under the same Nigerian law, bandits are yet not known as terrorists. But these are people creating havoc in the system. So the question we should be asking the federal government is, are they complicit? No, I should be asking because I don't know. I cannot answer the government.
The young man came up and said he's a terrorist government. He's a terrorist nation. No. So was he wrong with that assumption? Because you just accepted now.
Nigeria is not a terrorist nation.
Okay, go on.
Known to the law, no. But we are fighting terrorism in our country.
Okay.
That's just the bottom line. We are fighting terrorism. Yes. The body language of the government is not totally against the act of this terrorist. Because by now we should be calling bandits terrorists. By now we should call Fulani X-men terrorists. But to our law, local law, they are not terrorists yet.
But internationally, the Fulani X-men has been recognized as terrorist organization.
But you need to consider that for us to prosecute them locally here, we need to term them terrorists.
Yeah, well, the international law wouldn't wait for you to prosecute locally before
maybe when we get to that
uh,
bridge, we'll cross, Mr. Samuel.
yes. So because they're looking at the statistics of AFOC and what they term based on the yardstick of calculation before they said this is a terrorist organization, there are things you
Of
would
course,
have done. So they came to that
conclusion.
conclusion. So can you really take it away from the young man that said you are representative a terrorist government, a terrorist nation?
You know, do you know what the problem I have is calling Nigeria a terrorist nation. That is where the point is. If you are saying that the government is in support of terrorism, it's a different case. You know, when you term a country a terrorist nation, you are saying that the whole
internationally they wouldn't know a government or it's a nation they address you at.
What are the things that forms a government? A government is not formed by the presidency alone. Do you know that?
Okay.
A government is not formed by the presidency alone.
Okay.
Under this government, we have states, or even under the executive, we have state governments. Are you getting me, sir? Those governments also, they operate within the ambit of the law. Okay. So when it says Nigeria is no, but we are fighting terrorism, the body language of the presidency is in support of terrorism.
Okay, but the president represents the nation anyway. So, Mr. Matthew, what's your take on this? Looking at it,
my take is that you cannot address Nigeria as an entity, as a terrorist organization, as a terrorist nation, because it amounts to fallacy of generalization.
Okay.
Because whether we like it or not, you are a Nigerian, I'm a Nigerian, he's a Nigerian. And I cannot accept that I'm a terrorist. Because by the time I'm coming.
Let's not mix it up. The guy never said.
I'm coming. By the time you use that toga of you try to clothe Nigeria as a terrorist nation, you are saying that every subject, every entity in this sovereignty called Nigeria is a terrorist.
Can I ask you?
So you are trying to give that coloration. So what I'm saying in essence is, I'm going to drive home my point.
Okay.
Now, quite agreed, this government has succeeded in polarizing the nation.
Very true.
What we now see, we have a situation where you have the Fulani and the others. That is what obviously gave rise to an Igbo and even the ESN. Because I saw recently the frustration of federal government where they were not able to convince one of their international partners that even ESN is, their formation is wrong. Because that their foreign partner, which they refused to tell the public, was telling them that ESN were there to protect the locals. So, and all this came about as a result of the negligence, dereliction of duty of the federal government, refusing to address the excesses of the headers. Like you have alluded to, the headers globally, going by global terrorism index, say the Fulani is the fourth most dangerous terrorist organization in the world. So that is already a global standard. And the federal government is not recognized as such.
At this stage,
the federal government is the one aggravating the whole situation. Because even Mr. President have accepted that these headers who go about within AK-47 and some other sophisticated weapons come from Mauritania, Libya, Chad, and some other African countries. And it's on record that in 2010, Ghana government used their federal might to chase away Fulani headsmen out of their territory. And we have a situation where they are converging in Nigeria here, taking territories, land grabbing, raping, maiming, kidnapping for ransom, and the government seems not to be willing to address it. So to say Nigeria is a terrorist organization on that basis, we amount to fallacy of generalization.
Let me say I disagree with that. Okay, in as much as we know we are Nigerians, our sentiments abound. In addressing a nation internationally, I don't think anybody will come and ask you, are you part of those who is a terrorist in Nigeria? If you've applied for visa or do some things internationally, there are restrictions based on the fact that Nigeria has been subjected or listed among terrorist organizations, listed alongside.
No, I think you are getting it wrong.
No, I'm coming. I'm looking at the perspective that would have subjected a Nigerian to say Nigeria is a terrorist nation.
I think you are getting it wrong.
Okay, how?
I don't think there is anywhere in the world where Nigeria as an entity, as a sovereignty, having tagged a terrorist nation.
No. I mean, when you are applying for, there are things you apply for online, application of visa. I am saying it categorically. You can ask. And I want viewers, I want to bring in their comment on this. There are countries they listed alongside Syria, Afghanistan, there are countries that is the most terrorized.
So I think they are looking
so,
at the terrorist activities.
Whichever way you calculate it,
not
is
that they
a
are
nation.
tagging
No,
Nigeria
as a terrorist nation.
wait, that's what I'm saying. That as a nation, in addressing such as an individual, the person addressing is using a generic yardstick of those indices they came up with in addressing nations of the world. Afghanistan, that does not mean everybody in Afghanistan are terrorists. It is a basic rule that has been used on some issues when it comes to
now let me ask you one question.
So I just mentioned Afghanistan. I never said everybody in Afghanistan is a terrorist.
I think I need to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
From your own perspective, looking at Nigerian population, what percentage do you think the terrorists consist?
No, it's far lower.
Now, on that basis,
It's far,
is it justified?
sorry.
Is it justified
I'm
to
sorry,
even
Mr.
use that as a basis to address or define
Can
Nigeria?
I say something, sir? We are not saying that young man doesn't have an argument.
Of course.
All we are just saying is there's something wrong with the terminology.
That cannot define Nigeria.
It doesn't define Nigeria.
No, nobody is saying.
Of a truth, we are fighting terrorism in Nigeria, and the government
is not doing
enough.
But you cannot use that to define.
But you cannot use that to define Nigeria
and stigmatize
everybody in the
country.
No,
the people that the young man challenged
were
they terrorists?
No, they were not terrorists.
Ah,
I demand an answer from you.
No, it was obvious that he said
They
it
were
in the
not
beginning,
terrorists.
that you are representing a terrorist.
That's why I'm challenging you.
No, I'm trying to evaluate with his context, how he framed his context. That does not mean that I accept totally that every Nigerian is a terrorist. It's two different things.
So that is why we should.
But I'm telling you that if you look at Afghanistan and even Syria, that have even some of these countries that have more terrorist activities, when they rank them, that does not mean everybody living there are terrorists. I'm situating those who are number one, number two for you, not even Nigeria. But people who don't come to be evaluating individuals of those countries. Hey, you are from so country, are you a terrorist? Who cares? But there is a general toga that has been used for people carrying those passports in some countries. In fact, a Nigerian told me, I was trying to make an application to one embassy, I think VFS Global. I met a young woman, and he said they have screened them out in a particular airport just because they are Nigerians first. So does that mean that all of them that traveled, and this woman was carrying, has stayed in the British more than the number of times she has even stayed in Nigeria?
Let me remind you what something.
So I'm coming. Does that mean that the people that did that never knew that there are people that are living in Nigeria that are not terrorists? That's what I'm saying.
I need to
the one does not care if everybody is a terrorist.
I need to remind you something at this point. The man who led the research of the vaccine in America, COVID-19 vaccine, graduated as a medical doctor from Nigeria.
Yes.
And the records are there.
Yes.
So can't you use that to define Nigeria?
No.
Now I'm coming.
Okay.
That's why I started by asking you, what do you think is the percentage of the terrorists in Nigeria?
No, I said it's far lower.
Now,
it cannot be up to 10%.
there is no justification. I am a critic of somebody not doing things in the right way.
Yes.
But there's no justification for using that toga of
a terrorist.
terrorist.
I think where we are getting
to define Nigeria.
I accept your point of view.
I'm a Nigerian.
But the only differentiational part is no part of the world will start going into those nitty-gritty. Just like the Afghanistan, I don't believe everybody in Afghanistan are terrorist people. But as soon as you land with those passports, because there's been red flag of nations that falls into those categories, take it or leave it. That is what the world sees, and that is the perspective Nigerians. So many do say it in most of the live shows, and you know that you would be addressed.
There's not any world-known international organization like UN, European Union that have indicted Nigeria as an entity as a terrorist organization.
No, they don't need to. They only need to work with the statistics of most terrorized nations in the world.
When it comes to
Nigerians should not be stigmatized.
When it comes to immigration policies, it is basically on interest. You are coming into my country. What are you bringing in? You understand? Countries will determine the interest or your value to the economy of that nation before they can allow you in, regardless of where you're coming from. But also, security is a very prominent issue when it comes to immigration. You understand? You are migrating to another country. They want to know, do you pose a security threat? Yes or no? All that are checks on other nations to make sure that you don't bring the vices in your country to my country. You understand? That no doubt. But the argument is that it is absolutely wrong for that young man to have termed Nigeria as a terrorist nation. That is the issue I have with him. He has his agitations. I also have my agitations against this government. You understand? The modus operandi upon which you are fighting this war against terrorism is not acceptable. It's not globally acceptable. You cannot be fighting terrorists and you are still playing with them. That's what I can see from the body language of this government.
Okay, Mr. Matthew, let's just move away from that. And let's look at 2023 presidency. North deserves another 4-year term. So I think we've discussed this headline sometimes ago. There was argument that the North have used about 10 years. If you calculate Muhammadu Buhari 8 years term, plus additional 2 years, which Muhammadu Buhari will complete his 8-year term in 2023. Then Musa Yar'Adua used about 2 years, so it's 10. If you add that of Jonathan to 8 years to that of President Obasanjo, which was 8 years, is 14. So there's this argument. Look, in all fairness with the argument, the North would have used 10 years, no, 12 years, come 2023. No, it's not even 12, it's 10 years, 8 plus 2. Why the South would have used 14 years? Factual argument. But if you're looking at it from the other perspective, we are having a Northerner who would have used 8 years come 2023. Do they not still demand?
Well, I really want to. Can I?
No, go on.
Okay.
Yes.
I really want to.
Mr. Matthias.
I really want us to understand something. And the reason why we find ourselves in the first place in this current situation is because we have never operated as one nation. The issue of the South.
Sorry, if we've never operated as one nation, why are you optimistic about one Nigeria?
I'll get there. The reason is based on the fact that at this point of our existence as a nation, we are still talking about the Southern and the Northern dichotomy in our election. It is embarrassing. For me, as a believer of democracy, what determines who wins, who becomes who, is the election. What determines who becomes the president of this nation, irrespective of where you come from, should be election based.
But from the voting pattern alone, the North can produce the next president.
I'm going there. Now, it boils down to how the elites have ruled this country, and it's unfortunate. There's what we call electoral education. Electoral education process is the process of sensitizing the people to look beyond religion. It comes in line to look beyond ethnic basis in determining who becomes your president. It should be based on who can deliver. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in this situation. And right now, the southern Nigerian, I'm from the southern part of this country. I'm also one of those, because of the current, the current structure in which the country has been placed by the elite. I'm also one of those that believe that power should come to the south.
Why? You're not looking for competence?
No, the electoral process has been rubbish. Do not deceive yourself. Please, let us be realistic with ourselves. The electoral process has been rubbish. They already know who is going to become who. The reason I see no reason why the legislature and even the presidency will come against a process that can make people choose their leaders free of charge.
What process is that?
The electoral transmission of results. It is obvious. All the argument against electoral transmission of results is just nonsense. Let us be realistic with ourselves. It holds no water anywhere. For crying out loud, we are not saying people should vote electronically. We are saying the results should be transmitted from one polling unit to a station, then declared, such that everybody will already know the result before it's been announced. But they want a system that can always be manipulated, such that we cannot be having this discussion of power must go to the north, power must go to the south. So if we are now saying that, okay, come 2023 election, we are not going to have a free process that can lead to a leader that people truly want, I also agitate that the power should come to the south. You get what I'm saying? The North has had 8 years in order to dose the tension in the south. By the time a southerner becomes president today, those agitating in the south can be talked to. Let us be realistic with ourselves.
So it's only a yardstick for presidency. That's why the agitation normally comes up. Because we have similar thing in the Boko Haram for 2014, and some people use that against the then President Goodluck Jonathan, that power should go to the north. And there was an alignment.
Okay.
So the south is also doing that.
What's the agitation
sorry.
Okay, sir.
So the south is also doing that as a replica to the Chibok girls kidnapping and so many activities in the north.
There's difference in the approach.
There's different.
Yes.
But the northern elites at that point in time said they want power to go back to, and they said it openly.
Okay.
So is there much difference?
You're comparing basic genuine agitations to terrorism. No. When power went to the south, the agitations, the militants, you saw what happened. They went on the low. There was the bunkering level was to the minimum. Burning on pipeline, destroying Nigerian economy was to the minimum. Are you know what I'm saying, sir?
Yes.
Now, let us lift it. That's Boko Haram is terrorism. We are talking about genuine agitations from Nigerians. The people are complaining that there is nepotism in the government. Buhari administration has appointed virtually all the meaningful sector are from the north. You know what I'm saying? The people say let our own people also be part of the governance of this country. Now, if you bring power to the south, obviously agitations will be reduced. Let us be sincere with ourselves. But we find ourselves in this place in the first place because we have failed to do what is needful. And what is needful is, in the first place, to have a free, fair, and a credible election such that you and I can decide this is the person I want to be president. But unfortunately, they've not allowed that to thrive. And we'll keep having this argument of the north and the south dichotomy when it comes to our election.
Okay, Mr. Matthew, your point of view.
You see, this, if you look at Nigeria from the time of military rule, because Nigeria did not just start in 1999. So the argument that the North need another 4 years to complete 14 years of Jonathan and Obasanjo is a defeated argument.
Okay, why is it defeated?
It's a defeated argument because if you look at the number of years ruled by Northern extraction under military rule,
Okay.
you now add it to the 10 that are talking about.
In total, it's about 38 years.
38 years.
As against 20-something or so of the South.
21.
So you see that it's already a defeated argument. So by our standard,
22 years.
the time the Northern presidents or military president ruled and the time Yar'Adua and Buhari is ruling now, have we in any way salvaged the situation in the North? Obviously no. As we speak, the out of school children in Nigeria, Bauchi happens to be leading in that regard.
1 million, yes.
Over 1.something million.
Yes.
And if you look at the level of poverty in Nigeria, Sanusi has said it one time, that if you look at Nigeria as an entity, you look as if Nigeria is rich. But if you vulcanize Nigeria into its component units, you discover that the North is very poor. So to what extent has it advanced the economy of the North? To what extent have we even advanced the development of Nigeria as a whole? This madness of it is the turn of the North, it is the turn of the South, I think it is not helping the democracy of Nigeria.
It is not. It is not.
What we need to do is to have conversations on how to make the democracy work, on how to ensure that we put pressure on the National Assembly to do the needful. And to do the needful is to make us have specifics when it comes to transmission of election results. The issue of NCC giving a wrong information to National Assembly to mislead them, I think by now there should be pressure on National Assembly, because whether we like it or not, the Senate have taken a position, as already have taken a position with respect to transmission of election results.
Yes.
And we are now looking at conference committee from both chambers. And the two committee, they are not likely to go outside the resolution of the two chambers. So the best we're expecting from the two chambers will not even give us electronic transfer of election results. So I think that is what we should be engaging the government to make sure they reverse that obnoxious trend, rather than looking at the South and the North that have not helped in advancing the Nigerian democracy.
May I add to what Mr. Matthew has said?
Okay.
Now, the point is that the so-called leaders who has the power now to create laws that can encourage free election are scared, because once they do that, the tendency that are going to come back to power is slim. And that is why they are hell-bent on a system that can always enhance manipulation of election. This thing is simple. It's quite simple. See, nobody, forget the argument of NCC. NCC is a parcel under the presidency. Presidency, of course, has interest in 2023 election.
Okay, let me just take some of the comments from some of our viewers at home. Thank you. Let the comment keep coming in. Mr. Dominic, the Baroness of Samedi, say, yeah, but we can't wait we can't make any draconian agreement just to stay in line with who's in power. I think he's talking about in relation to Benin Republic and Nigeria obeying the rule of law when it comes to international treaty. Then Mr. Dele Amedu, what body language is this guy talking about? He sounds more like a Buhari apologist. Oh God, guy, you're absolutely confused. Okay, wow, that's weird. Okay, Ninja Boy TV say, Mr. Matthew, please allow someone to land. Okay, I think he has allowed me to land actually. Oh, Two Ninja is back. There's a difference between state sponsor of terrorism from a nation afflicted with terrorism. To Nigeria, you except you prove to us that states sometimes some of these states don't even come out openly to sponsor the terrorism.
No, even if they do not.
Yes.
There are instances where states
Yes,
sponsored
yes.
terrorism.
Yes, and
Look at Al-Assad, for instance.
No, for a situation whereby the government or those in governance, the presidency come out to say those
No, they may not come out openly.
Those sponsoring terrorism are in my government. Even the current presidency, directly or indirectly, has also alluded to that fact. So, directly or indirectly, state actors can as well, or probably involved in sponsoring of terrorism. So, you definitely sometimes you might not be
Nigerian fight against terrorism is compromised.
Yeah, so you might not in totality say the state sponsored, but
it is not. If
that is the
state
area.
resources are not used, known to the law, state resources are not being used to support the
act
of
of
terrorism.
The government still not to be willing to exercise his might against terrorists.
But does that mean that state actors within government have not also sponsored terrorism?
But don't forget that the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami,
have been accused
of being a sympathizer and apologist of terrorist organization. Because he was quoted to have prayed for God to give Al-Qaeda and Taliban victory. And only for the government.
That was why I said, when I said the body language of this government, those were the things I was referring to. Such an individual, immediately after the leak of that video, should have been shown his way out of this government.
But you forgot that the government rose to his defense, saying that he made that statement when he was a little bit younger.
Yes.
He's a boy.
Perhaps he would have repented.
And that was right. I said the body language.
So that's why
I don't need to tell you. I don't need to come out and tell you that the government is in support of terrorism. But the actions and inactions of the presidency
supports
it. That's the body language.
But it's not sufficient to
now
tag
say
Nigeria as
a terrorist nation.
As a terrorist nation.
It's not sufficient.
Well, those who have termed it internationally have termed organization.
No, that narrative have to be changed.
Whichever way. Now, let's move fast. Electronic transmission of voting results can be hacked and manipulated too. Wow, that's a different perspective.
The same way people
the manual is worse.
Electronic election buses.
Yes.
The same way they stop election buses. The same way they rig. So you are looking at soft copy of manipulation, but we are looking at physical
manipulation, which is
and
even worse.
INEC have said that they have what it takes to ward off hackers.
It's true.
So to that extent, I think we stand.
No, we're not even voting electronically.
I understand.
I want to correct that impression.
No, what I'm saying is that even through this transmission process,
okay,
it can be hacked.
For example, the last election, INEC have tried this before. You snap and you upload. Is this person saying that they'll come and infiltrate the WhatsApp to change the result or what? Maybe what's the name? Mr. David, please enlighten us more on this so that we will understand the perspective.
I think what he's trying to say is in the process of transmission. You get it.
So they'll interject it.
That's
send another snap.
No, you know, it's a portal you'll be sending it to.
Yes.
So what the person is saying is that portal
can be
compromised.
Okay.
By hackers.
Okay.
You see,
thereby having undue access.
We are so used to manipulation, and we have subject our mind to
everything is manipulation.
In manipulation, sir. Today, to manipulate election via transmission of results
is more difficult.
It's more difficult,
more technical
than when you are carrying ballot box on the road. And somebody can go hijack the ballot box. Take it somewhere else
and change it. No, they won't take it. They'll just switch it.
Connivance with the
I agree with you.
There's no
so which one is more
system that doesn't have its own risks. No system. But we are saying that the risk attached to this one is higher. It's limited compared to manual. See, the processes, the presidency has interest in the next election. They know that, judging by the performance of this current administration, This government and
Cannot
APC
win
regime
a-
cannot win
a
2023 election.
They are afraid of losing.
They are afraid of losing.
That is-
So what they want to do is sit down somewhere in Abuja, computate results, and declare to Nigerians.
Okay, okay. Would I approve here to that? Mr.
Well-
Kinlolu Olagunji say, hello, Pundit. Are you guys going to take calls later? Please pin the number to call in with. Okay, from next week, we'll be having our phone lines where you can be calling in to make your contribution. But you can still keep the comment popping in. Mr. Dominic said, our leaders worldwide aren't really elected. They are selected voting in just pumping circumstances. Okay, let's move over to the next headline, which... legislature, okay, we've deliberated on that. Ghanaian youth rejected bag of rice and goodies in a viral video. Mr. Matthew, we've discussed this directly and indirectly. So let me start with Mr.
See,
what do you have to say about that?
You see, what the leaders, the elites has done to the Nigerian system is to perpetually leave us in abject poverty, such that by the time they keep distributing all these things, they become meaningful in the eyes of the masses. The truth is that there's poverty in the land, but you have no justification to sell your right, to sell your vote. Your vote is your future. A lot of us don't know as youth that in the time by the time we embrace this attitude and we keep doing it, these people will not be answerable to us. I cannot call an honorable representing my constituency now and say, honorable sir, honorable legislator sir, so and so is wrong within the constituency. What is your take? These are my projections. These are things that we need to, because he felt that he was not elected. He was selected by certain individual sitting somewhere. You understand? So until the youth come together, realize that buying of election, selling of election is a huge crime. Not just a crime. It gets a blow on your future as an individual. It gets a blow on the future of this country as a nation. Then we can now start having serious issues of, okay, we want youth as leaders in position of authority. We want youth as leaders in in various parastatal of government. You get it? So we should try as much as possible as youths of this country have the interest of this nation at heart. Collecting bag of rice, chanting hallelujah for, it's the truth. Hallelujah. We have made ourselves hallelujah boys now for the politicians. When we see them, we say rank and daily. You understand? And take peanuts from them. It is wrong. These people are looting the treasure of this country. And they are doing so comfortably because they know that they were not elected. They know that they were only selected by the leaders, by the leaders that had interest in messing up the country. So I condemn it in totality, and I want to applaud the Ghanaian youth for coming out strongly to state to their leaders that they don't want these bags of rice. What they want is good leadership. They want employment. They want a leader that is responsible to the people. They want a leader that they can question at will. They want a leader that can represent their general interest. And I think we should learn to now follow that direction as Nigerian youth. It's a big lesson to Nigeria.
Mr. Matthew, what do you have to say about that as well? Because I know we've deliberated on this sometimes.
With respect to
the Ghanaian youth rejection of the rice and the goodies that the political class give to them. Unlike what is
I think the strategy of the government of Nigeria is to get the people more poorer, such that when it comes to election, as they normally say, that he who pays the piper takes the tone. That when they throw around money, throw around one or two things, they not try the process. But again, just take a look at government policies as it has to do with areas where the youths are having activities to get income. Look at cryptocurrency. Look at how Nigerian youths were leveraging on it to make ends meet. Look at how federal government blocked it. And even recently, CBN have come out to say that they are launching their own digital currency in October or so. So you see that it's another way of trying to guard the youths. Because they know that if the youths have resources and no more resources at their disposal, they on their own can galvanize the system to challenge the status quo.
Just like what happened
which is these old people recycling themselves in positions of authority. Look at the issue of Twitter. Even when the youth reminded the government that some persons are leveraging on Twitter for their businesses, the government was quick to remind them that they have other alternatives like WhatsApp,
Which
like
never
TikTok,
existed.
like Facebook, and other social media platforms. And they fail to realize that if you are maintaining a Twitter handle, and over the years you already have followership, that you cannot transfer it to another social media platform for the purpose of advancing your business. And this obviously have done a great havoc to many businesses in Nigeria. So, looking at the electorates in Ghana rejecting gesture to set their vote, I think that should have been the right way to go. But Nigeria of today, it is very, very difficult. I repeat.
Why is it difficult?
I'll give you the reason. I think you were at the paper stand. Was it yesterday?
Yes, today.
There's this man called Olua that calls himself Demon that was drunk,
drinks.
that wanted to speak yesterday, and the Christian Chukwu that the presenter who Pastor Gideon used to call rebel journalist was asking the man not to speak. But off camera, the man was telling me in confidence that he don't have 1 naira. When they asked him about this current government, he said he voted for Muhammadu Buhari. When they asked him about Muhammadu Buhari and this government, I don't think I can repeat what he said, the derogatory word he used against the government. I don't think I can use it. I can repeat it with my mouth.
Wow.
To tell you the level of poverty. Are you telling me that such person will not take money for vote, will not sell his conscience? Obviously, with the current circumstance he found himself, if they should offer him money, he would definitely accept it.
Because the system have impoverished the youth over time.
Exactly. And again, look at how the leadership of the North have, over the years, been micromanaging the youth in the North. I think that by extension, that is what they are trying to do in the South. Because we have a situation where in the North, a singular person can rise in a community and say, this is what I want you people to do. And you see everybody falling in line. That best explains the reason it is easy for people, the strategies of Boko Haram.
That's why it's trying
to recruit vulnerable children, youths in that region. Because the government, the system have left them uncared for. The system have not been able to take care of them. The system have not been able to educate them. So they now become very vulnerable in the hands of this Boko Haram. Okay. So what I'm trying to say in essence is what they did in that Ghana is what is supposed to be done in a sane society. Okay. But unfortunately, I don't think it will happen in Nigeria.
Okay. Moving over to the next headline, we have Malami acting like unlearned fellow. I mean, this is
unlearned fellow.
Unlearned fellow, and it's worrisome when you
refer to the Attorney General of
a federation, a lawyer for that matter. His son.
To be honest, the man has been playing politics with that office. And when you look at that office is not the office that is solely responsible for the legal battles of the presidency. But Malami has seen himself as the personal lawyer
to the president.
It's unfortunate. You don't understand. He's the Attorney General of the Federation. He's not a personal lawyer to the president or the president himself.
No, the president have a personal lawyer.
You understand? But unfortunately, where we are now, you will see Malami defending all illegality of this government. And that is why some people in the legal world will begin to question if truly is learned or not. It is shameful. There are a lot of atrocities have been committed by this government. For crying out loud, we run a democratic system of government. There's nowhere any responsible government will exhibit an arrest at the dawn of the night. Igboho's house was attacked at the middle of the night. That is an illegality. A genuine and intentional Attorney General of the Federation should condemn that act. No statement from the office of the Attorney General. These are issues that he should guide the presidency as an advocate of the Nigerian law. But he has failed to do that. So when people begin to question his what's it called? How learned he is. You know, when people begin to question how learned he is, they have the right to. He should wake up now. This government is not, they still have about 2 or more years to go. He should start putting laws into perspective. Help this government to respect laws. Buhari's government is disobeying the law. The law that governs is existing as a democratic government. This government is disobeying those laws.
Okay, Mr. Matthew, the son and the Attorney General was termed as acting like an unlearned fellow. What do you have to say about that?
You see, because he have allowed himself to be guided by sentiment rather than by extant law. Because you have a system, a situation where a supposed Attorney General of the Federation fail to realize that before you move a citizen of your country who perhaps have dual citizenship from Kenya to Nigeria, that there ought to have been extradition here in Kenya. Okay. So that is why people now question it is extraordinary rendition. Now, the government has had an opportunity of going to Kenya and discuss the issue of the extradition. And if you look at the issue of citizenship, quite agreed, Nnamdi Kanu is a Nigerian by birth. But when you now become a British citizen at the later part of your life, that one is stronger because it is your consent that you are taking up that citizenship. And as at the time he was arrested or accosted, abducted, as the case may be, he was having British passport. So by implication, he is a British citizen as at the time he was accosted. So by our standard, the right thing to do was to notify British High Commission in Kenya that your citizen have been arrested and our government is interested in extraditing him to Nigeria. You now look at whether Nigeria have existing extradition treaty with Kenya
or not
before you now start the process. The best bet is if such do not exist, you send him back to his country, which is Britain. And Nigeria already have a extradition treaty with Britain. So it would have been a good thing if Nigerian government would have approached Britain for the purpose of extraditing from Britain. So I don't know what perhaps tied the hand of Nigerian government
maybe
from approaching British government for the purpose of extraditing from Britain to Nigeria.
There might have been some other reasons the government used.
The reason is not far-fetched.
On the issue of Kanu, I think that there is an agreement between the Nigerian government, a secret agreement, I want to believe, between the Nigerian government and that of Kenya. The way the guy was kidnapped by the Nigerian government couldn't have happened without internal support.
Just like what almost happened during the Marodiku. And coincidentally, Muhammad Buhari was the president.
So
I disagree there because in the case of Umar Diko, had they been it?
No, it leaked.
It happened successfully. Some permutation or assumption would have also been out, like in his own case, that maybe there was an agreement. There might not have been an agreement because it was a planned work solely.
No, why there may be agreement? Why are we concede to his argument?
Why did this?
Because the man was in detention for 8 days.
8 days
in Kenya.
Okay. Are you telling me that the government of Kenya?
So it was not Nigerian authority that kept him in custody.
Okay.
And
so some people might have decided to spring up that, like the allegation of the issuance of passport. The report said that some personnel has been accused. It might not be the system or the authority that actually gave. In Nigeria, people singularly wear uniform and go to Cotonou border to clear people, to clear rice.
I want to quickly remind you this.
You know what I'm saying? So necessarily, it might not be. What I'm trying to say is, it might not be a systemic or an hierarchical order. So some people within the ports or within their office can decide to do it. Happens in Nigeria.
So as you carry this along, so that we don't forget the issue of the senator that was caught kneeling down before a political leader.
Okay, fine. Let's
we couldn't discuss it the other time.
As much as we can go on. Okay. So what do you have to say? The senator from Delta State.
Yes, of course, and that is my state.
Coincidentally. Okay, it's actually not a coincidence because I think it's an act of God. So you have.
Okay, now you see, maybe perhaps that is what it takes to be lawyer.
But whichever we hold on, let me just take some of the few comments. I think Our commentator here, okay, Baroness of Samedi says, I'm a lady, oh, she laughed. Okay, Coco. Oh, okay, I think that is Olusegun Afo. Alams, Nasin Alam saying, honestly, it's absurd to have Nigerians debate electronic transfer of election results in 21st century. It simply shows how much backward that contraction has become. Jesus. Nigeria is not a contraction yet to. Okay, then from Baroness of Samedi, we need to hold our leaders accountable and remind them that they are working for us, not the other way round. Yeah, those who try to hold them accountable, who went to protest in ENSA, some of them are in the graves, really holding them down. So, Baroness, it might not really work like that too. Alozie Gladys say, we wish our youth understand this. Okay, I think this reply from Gladys is in respect to the sharing of rice. Then David said, look no further than the US 2020 election and the well-documented cyber attack attempt from Russia at all levels of the election, voting transmission of results from countries. David is trying to justify that they can hack in Nigeria. For his meaning,
no,
there is no election
anywhere in the world. I don't think there's the jurisdiction is not what determines whether you can hack. You can even be in America and hack into the system in Nigeria. So I don't think jurisdiction is.
So we should not go electronic based on.
No, we should.
But David is saying they can hack.
Hacking is not sufficient to stop it, because if you look at the level of rigging,
we are not voting electronically. Don't get it.
I understand. We are only
transmitting figures that are already documented.
No, David, we are not voting electronically like here.
Transmission
of results. So there's no way you can. There's limitation to what you can do to hacking of a hard copy result that the hard copy can still be testified with.
No. Let's get it right. What we are saying is, if INEC opens a portal and all the ad hoc workers, I'm coming. All the maybe ad hoc workers who are polling unit agents, once you collect your result, you snap, you send to that portal. What they are saying is that somebody can compromise or have unauthorized access into that portal, thereby having access, the person can now remove and replace whatever result that is already set. No, I'm not saying it's not sufficient to say we should not go by electronic transfer. Okay. But I'm saying there's a possibility of hacking.
Sir, can I say something?
Of course you can.
Now the truth is there's no election anywhere in the world that does not have a bit of threat of being manipulated, a bit. But we are saying that our own election is too porous.
I agree with you.
They are rigging it to our face, and we want that to stop.
I agree with
now, out of that reason, we are saying that though most of our electorate are not educated, they cannot vote electronically, but they can go to the polling unit, cast their manually. All party agents having records of votes. See, people don't understand that having a free and fair election doesn't end up in the polls. It's a process that also gets to the court. You understand what I'm saying, sir? So, to restructure our electoral system, we need to be holistical about it. First off, let us have a system where we vote. We know that these are the figures that we are transmitting to this. Not that you will not, by the point of polling unit taking it to a local government, without a copy, then somebody can intercept it, change the figures. You get what I'm by stuffing ballot boxes. This is 21st century, Mr. Samuel. We cannot continue like that. What we are saying is essence is this. Though we know there can be means of manipulation, even in an electronic voting system or electronic transmission of results, we know. But we are saying that the risk of being manipulated is lower compared to
no, I totally agree with you.
Moving of electoral materials is archaic.
I totally agree.
It stretches us. It stretches us as in terms of area of we stress.
No, I totally agree with
security. Especially if you are a core member, where you stand in polling booth and somebody, as long as they finish casting the vote, before you even say you want to carry the result to go and remit maybe in the ward level or a collation officer, before you know you're gone.
Now, you risk your life.
So even INEC have always been on the receiving end and they've been agitating that the result should be transmitted. Now the result that is transmitted the hard copy as evidence is always with you.
No, I agree with both of you. So the least they can give us is electronic transfer
Or results.
There's no argument about that.
Sir, I am not buying the argument that the system can be hacked. If it is hacked, you are a political party contesting an election. You have a copy of the results that was sent to the system,
and the agents,
and they ripped you out, and you cannot challenge that election. That you are not a serious aspirant in that election.
It becomes more difficult to rig because as at that point of
sending up
of the hard copy, your party agent can as well snap his own shot.
But let me tell you the implication of what you just said.
Okay.
Quite agreed. If they manipulate the system through hacking, and you already have hard copy duly signed by all the party agents.
Okay.
Now, cast your mind back. Look at all the cases that's gone through electoral tribunal.
Okay.
I've not seen anyone that they subjected the result to recounting, and there was success in recounting because there is timeline when the electoral tribunal must deliver judgment.
Yes.
So if they give you 3 weeks, for instance, to start your case, open your case, and finish your case, it is within that 3 weeks, or as the case may be, that you have opportunity of calling for witness, calling for recounting, and all that. You find out that in most cases the time is not adequate for
Mr.
all that process.
Let's move over. We just digressed from that very because of the comment from Mr. David. Baroness said yes, it's proved that an election, whether electronic or not, can be manipulated. Yes, we know, but it's lesser. The risk is lesser when it's electronically than when it's physical. Millions of ballot papers with guns and it's archaic.
I agree with you. It's archaic.
Let's move away from that. There were people voting who had died over 30 years ago. Yes, but the percentage of those who died as a result of voting in 30 years ago is far lower than what our political system now.
It is lower than the percentage that has been killed by bad governance. Through bad governance, we have poor health system. Through bad governance, we have poor educational system.
As a result of rigging.
Through bad governance, we have poor infrastructure, roads that have killed a lot of people. So we have no reason not to vote.
So yes,
we have no reason not to vote.
So I think we've attended to Baroness of Samedi's comment. Okay, and she said, and I believe there was news reports in the state that someone submitted a vote for Kubi Bryant and he had already died. Okay, I think he's making relation to the US. Well, those are isolated cases, and even with the rigging itself, directly and indirectly, the system was able to do a reasonable justice compared to what is obtainable here. Let us even get to that stage. Let us rig electronically first.
No, if you get to that stage, that challenge presents itself,
we will start looking for solutions.
We'll resolve it.
Yes.
We'll resolve it.
I think let me just Tunaja said David, exactly, electronic transmission of voting record can be just as vulnerable to inference as manual transmission. I think there should be multiple forms, each form acting as checks and balance. Okay.
Whichever way.
Yeah, whichever way, anything that works.
That's sent to checkmate.
Yes, it's true. But and Supreme Court Justice Ruth Vada too, and she was already deceased. Okay, I think the Dominic, the Baroness of Samedi, is not in Nigeria, so I think she's commenting based on the U.S. election. Akiolu Olagunju said, without the government making a deliberate effort to include the youth in the Nigerian political arena, the youth don't have the resources to run a feasible political campaign, let alone winning. David, on Malami, sadly, this is expected when an Attorney General is also the Minister of Justice, which with 2 distinct roles. Yes. Somebody said, wow, conflict of interest. To Nigeria, all government are always accused of violating the law, and it's true, but does not make the government a dictatorship, which requires more grievous and widespread violation of law. Well, I don't believe in that, to Nigeria. Okay, I think David and to Nigeria are concurring, well, which is a different proof from those of us in the studio. Whichever way is okay. Dominic de Baroness, exactly, conflict of interest. Yes, David, I don't know about that till you said it. That has to be illegal. Okay, I think they are communicating there. But it doesn't really matter what they do, what they want. Nigeria does have influence in Africa, so not surprised. Kenya, many Africans see Nigeria as a pivotal country to determine the future path for Africa. Well, Benin Republic did not believe in that, and as such did not bow down to the influence of releasing Sunday Igboho to Nigeria, even when there was a report of helicopter there. So to Nigeria, I don't feel that is true. Recently, not quite long, Ghanaians drove away Nigerian business people. If they really have so much respect for Nigeria, they wouldn't have driven away so many
I think
Nigerians.
because of their interests.
Yeah, the interest or not, he is trying to tell us how Nigerian blah blah blah. I don't think most countries really believe in that policy because South Africa disgraced Nigeria and even killed so many. So I really don't buy into that idea. Who protest solve nothing, it does nothing. That is not how you hold them accountable. Stop voting people into office that don't work for us. The stream is quite steady today and the quality is better. Any changes?
I disagree.
And the second, we realize that they are working for their own interests and not the interests of the Nigerian. They need to be sacked immediately. Guys, my question is, it's truly a fact that Malami does not know the law, but local and international, or that he is willfully playing an ostrich about them. I'm at loss sometimes.
He's a lawyer. He has positioned himself as a lawyer to the president.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear yourself?
Yes. Okay. Then I think the other question is, stop voting in the same politicians that have been rotating in and out of office since 1970. We need a new young men and women with new ideas. Yes, I believe in that too. Every party representative take snapshots of the count. Okay, I think Nigeria is talking about the election results, and our youth need a new paradigm of mindset. Poverty, Banksy Edward. Yes, it's high time we make our representative accountable. Okay, in moving fast while we're summarizing, let's look at
the senator that was kneeling
down.
Mr. Matthew is really.
Yeah, Mr. Matthew should start.
He should understand the reason. I think he should understand better the reason.
Yeah, so Mr. Matthew, is James Iborina an emperor, or has he been given a new traditional title? Because maybe you should tell us at least. Maybe you've gotten new information to Delta State.
No, it's not as if I have any classified information in it. But the truth is this: you look at Delta State politics in 1999, unlike other places, there is no political leader that brought Ibori into power. So Ibori perhaps started from, as a person, started building political empire. If you look at Delta State politics currently, almost all political gladiators in Delta State happens to come from Ibori's political family. The current deputy Senate president, in the person of Obioma Agege, he worked under Ibori. And if you look at the political dynamics in Delta State, just like any other state that have 3 senatorial districts, you have the Delta North, which is the Igbo-speaking part of the state. You have the Delta Central, which is the Urobo dominated senatorial district. Now the Delta South, which is the Ijaw and Ishekiri put together. Now have a situation where the Delta Central has gotten a shot of the governorship position under Ibori. Delta Central through Udwa have ruled. No, sorry, Delta South through Udwa have ruled. And in that same, Delta North is the one in the saddle now. The incumbent governor, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa. Now, if you look at J's manager, who perhaps have been in Senate since 2003, is from the Ijaw part of Delta South. So Delta South have not ruled. Sorry, Ijaw man have not ruled as a governor. Though the current deputy governor, Otuare, who happens to be a barrister, is an Ijaw man. But the way it stands, if you see the scenario, the picture that was displayed, the man came to seek perhaps his consent, what they will call consultation in the political circle. So he's trying to play loyalty.
So he needs to kneel
down. That is what it takes to be lawyer in the political circle. So don't forget that it's not by coincidence that he has been in the Senate
from 2003.
2003.
I think.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget the longest serving senator.
One of them. Don't forget that even Udwa, as at the time he left office as a governor, he's from the same senatorial district with J's manager. He wanted to take over that Senate, but he could not take it from J's manager. Even within the PDP family and even outside
the PDP family. Was it because of the backbone?
It's not because of the backbone.
Maybe
he's riding on the popularity of Ibori.
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe Udwa kneeling down was with one leg.
Okay, maybe Udwa did not know how to lead that very well. But don't forget that Udwa is the first cousin of Ibori.
Oh.
So it tells you that the level of loyalty of J's manager
is higher
of even that of Udwa.
Wow.
So I think, though it's unfortunate that we have a situation where an individual will decide the fate of an entire state. His loyalty is supposed to go to his senatorial district. And when he's looking
maybe the senatorial district might not make him the senator.
That's why I say it's unfortunate. And as he's looking for the governor of the state, in the process of consultation, he needed to go to the electorate that have the mandate, who are the arbiter legally.
What is
to decide
situation whereby, sorry, Mr. Machi, there might be some individuals that the electorate listen to better than the senator.
It's an unfortunate situation we have found ourselves, because by the time you start sharing the dividends of democracy, you now have a situation where you now take it to, you now surrender it to an individual. So you now have a situation where you have an executive governor that surrender the whole authority of that executive position to an individual.
So is it not factual now that there are some people that are more endowed to control the resources or the minds of other than other people?
No, I think what they do is they empower the people, and they now form a situation where they now.
I probably might not agree with you in totality, because the man in question was not in Nigeria for a particular point in time. He has left politics and has not been with.
I want to remind you something.
Udwa was the sitting governor. Sorry, yes. He is also privileged to the cash. He's also.
I want to remind you something. I'm from Delta State. When Ibori was in prison in Britain, politicians in Delta State were going pilgrimage in the prison in Britain.
They were traveling from Nigeria to Britain.
Even the current senator representing Delta North, that happens to be what's his name? I forgot, if I remember his name, Peter Nwaboshi.
He's currently in the APC.
He's currently in the APC.
So he went to collect blessing,
and he told the whole world that Ibori is the leader of the whole all the politicians in Delta State. So that's why I tell you that if you look at the current scenario, even APC political gladiators, they all came out of the political dynasty.
They must come.
So Ibori have overbearing influence on the political terrain.
So maybe he's a charismatic leader. They've not really.
No, he
is a charismatic.
But unfortunately, the money he give, he may have.
No, I mean charismatic, not in terms of charity. Charismatic leader.
No, it's a function of. I like I told you, I'm from Delta State.
Are you maybe you are not loyal enough, Mr. Mazi, by now?
No, I choose not to be in the political terrain.
Okay, that was a digression. Okay. So, Mr. Sonyo,
well, you know, I am not from Delta State. I might not be able to say much based on the affiliations going on there.
No, something similar still happened in other part of the Southwest.
I want to address this issue of loyalty. I have no problem with a politician being loyal to a godfather. Politics all over the world comes with godfatherism. Take it or you leave it. Real politics. But the truth is that, who is your godfather? A criminal? Someone convicted?
How do you conceptualize a criminal?
Someone convicted for money laundering in England?
People, yes, it's true, but some people wouldn't buy into that idea.
I'm not buying into the idea of what it. Okay, sir.
Some will tell you that it was a political setup, that we have such criminals and those kind of criminals cut across every part of the country that probably would they are working freely.
But I think when he was confronted with overwhelming evidence, I think he pleaded guilty.
That's what I'm saying. That some people are not saying that he never pleaded guilty. But what I'm saying is they will tell you that he was convicted there does not mean we don't have people that have been celebrated cuts across all ethnic group. So to them, he has not done anything different from the normal.
Let him drive home his point.
I'm still laying my premise.
Okay.
Now, this is the point I'm trying to make. I have no problem with his loyalty to his godfather. But who is your godfather? That's the question I'm asking him. Someone who has looted from the treasury of the state, and through that loot, has deliberately hijacked the political structure of that state. And we are saying, what are we talking about? You see, it's because we have docile citizens. And the system has decided to frustrate the citizens. For crying out loud, with that victimization alone, such an individual should leave politics for people of integrity.
But at a point, in all honesty, the Delta State government even came up publicly to say there was a particular loot that is not even for the Delta State government that at the point, when they saw the money that was coming back, they keep mum.
What does that suggest to you?
So that
I'm asking, what does it
suggest to follow?
It suggests to you that even the incumbent governor has surrendered the executive authority to him.
So where do we move from here?
Sir, what we should be talking about right now is there's no justification for for the action of that man.
We know.
Known to the law, known to morality,
But
and known.
He's an elderly. You know, some people are
Known to
coming
morality. I
from-
said known to morality, sir. Forget that. That's why.
Morality is subjective anyway.
Well, known to morality to the best
It's
of my knowledge.
subjective. Some
In-
will tell
in my
you
own
that
part
he's
of the
an
world.
elder. And moreover, he received a presidential pardon, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think
it
so.
was Alami Esega that
It's Alami Esega that received.
Is it
But
presidential
I think there is
pardon?
an understanding between you and the federal government that they will not prosecute him further.
Understanding.
Because by all indication,
Known to
I
the
think-
law.
No, it's not known to law.
Yeah, see.
No.
You know
They
wait,
are
wait.
plead bargain in law.
Wait.
Known to the law.
You know, they are plead
Sorry,
bargain
sorry,
in law.
sorry. Do you
And,
know why?
it's
Do you know why I
always
said so?
applicable to
Do
nations.
you know why I said so?
Okay.
Upon his return from Britain into Nigeria after serving the J10, he held meeting with DSS in Abuja before they allow him go back to his hometown.
So,
And thereafter, we
the
didn't
exact meeting-
hear anything from.
maybe since has been
Well,
forgiven.
now,
Forgive me.
Perhaps, maybe.
If I'm given the opportunity to conclude on this matter, the point is, it is obvious from the action of the senator that his loyalty is not to the people of his constituency,
Which is obvious.
it's not to the people of Nigeria. His loyalty is to James Ibori, somebody that has been proven to have committed a crime, that was jailed for that crime. You understand? And it's unfortunate that even if the people of his constituency have a contrary view or an opinion on national issue and say, Mr. What's his name? James Manager,
Yes, manager.
this is our position. Once it contradicts with that of his leader, the constituency is being, swept to a corner, and the position of the leader outweighs that of the constituency.
Maybe that's why he's a leader.
Well, to him he's a leader.
You
But
know,
I cannot blame the people. The system has allowed these things to thrive.
But don't you feel over the
The
years?
reason being that elections, you get what I'm saying?
They don't count.
Don't count.
Sorry.
Somebody somewhere cannot decide who
So they will
becomes who.
surrender their allegiance to the person who controls the system.
Sorry, Mr. Matthew, Mr. Sonia. Don't you believe there's a systemic psyche that have battered the youth to how they think, their economic well-being, even education? That voting pattern is not taught. You finished from the same Ife, and I can say categorically that from the university, no voting pattern is taught to civil education. What the youth should clamor for. Those who tend to know some things went extra mile aside what you've been taught in the classroom. Don't you think it's a coincidence? Don't you think there's a deliberate effort to omit history in our curriculum? So at every point, even in school, when we want to protest, there's always curtailing either from the school authority. All these actions, do you think is mere coincidence? And in summary, looking forward to 2023 election, is there hope?
Should I respond?
Yes.
Looking at what the hope have for Nigeria with respect to 2023 and the current scenario, I think until we do the needful as a people, there can never be hope. We have a situation where the political class already have a mindset. They already have they already have a result. They are working to achieve it. Don't forget that APC have told you that they were working towards consensus candidates. And we have a system they have hijacked all the institution of government, coerce all of them to give us a law that will give them the leverage to determine how the election result will go. We have a situation where even a government institution like NCC came to lie on oath about the position of network coverage in Nigeria, just to lay credence to the position of the people who want to circumvent the rule. For me, the only way we can have hope for 2023 is if we insist that we must have electronic transfer of election result.
Okay.
And this we must insist that the National Assembly, the two chambers, House of Rep and House of Senate, and even as they want to constitute conference committee, that the two committees from the two chambers should come up with a resolution that will specifically say there shall be electronic transfer of election result. That's the only way we can have hope for 2023.
Okay, before Mr. Olakunle Sonya come up with his final thought, let me just take one or two thumbs up to both of you guys. Your honest analysis on the matter arising is simply raising hope to already battered and hopeless Nigerian youth. Keep it up. Okay, that was from Nonsum Alarms. While to Nigeria, black people overseas know that Nigerians outperformed them. Yes, there was a statistic that shows how Nigeria have been doing so well. I think by CNN, compared to all other immigrants in the US. As a matter of fact, Nigeria outperformed any group in the US academic by population, Nollywood, ambition, etc. Nigerian leads. Yes. Those are individuals, Nigerians, that found themselves in a society that makes them perform. They wouldn't have been performing if they are here. So maybe the best of brains die here. In fact, the really intelligent people are really the poor masses that don't have avenue to even travel. So they die. So many hopes have always been lost here. Baroness said Nigerians are the most educated immigrants to come. Yes, that is factual. It's online. We outperform everyone. Yes, Nigerians are by far most hardworking, ambitious, achieving, and most culturally. Yes, it's true. Yes, so we know all these statistics. They are factual. That is when you go to a climb where the environment will give you the things to thrive, gives you a better atmosphere to perform, gives you an enabling environment. I haven't passed through this kind of hell. You don't have a choice than to excel. That's why you have the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tammy Abraham, Daly Ali. So many of them don't even want to come back to the country and play. When they go to the UK, England, they go to US, so many, they outperform their peers. I have a classmate in sociology, Obafemi Awolowo University. He finished as third class in Department of Sociology. He came out as the first class in his master's program, outperformed the whole students in Canada. So how much more those who came out second class upper, and he knows quite a number of people. So it's obvious. The fact is there. The statistics are there. So I wish the country can just try as much as possible, and those in leaders can do the needful. Mr. Sonyalu, concluding thought in looking at the system and 2023 election.
Well, I will start by talking about 2023 election. It's not far-fetched. We are there already. But the way the leaders are trying to, manipulate the system is quite obvious. But as a people, I think we should try as much as possible to resist them. It's not too late to still clamor, to keep clamoring until our voices are heard about the electronic transmission of results. It's a way to start in ensuring that we have a free, fair, and credible election, such that I will be able to say confidently that the person occupying the office of the president was duly elected by the people of Nigeria. That being said, on the future of Nigeria, I hope and I pray that Nigeria becomes stronger on a daily basis. But if things remain this way, this country might not muzzle the strength to fight through.
Okay, that's the concluding thought for Mr. Olakunle Sonyaolu. Yes, aka Smoro.
Yeah, not the song only.
Sonyaolu, yes. Not the song. I wish it's song anyway. Then with me in the studio is Mr. Oluku Bienusi Matthew, and I am Samuel Efio. Thank you for watching. See you on Monday. Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, nice one, guys.